Hello and welcome to the Happy PharmD podcast. I'm Alex Barker. I'm the founder and head coach at the Happy PharmD. And wow, I've got a really awesome episode today. It is with Chirag Patel. Chi is what I would call an illustrious and very expedient and productive entrepreneur. We talk about his career in pharmacy and how he co-started his pharmacy with his partner and how that grew to 6 stores and how that has led him to multiple crazy outside the box entrepreneurship ideas to grow not only his pharmacy, but also his career as an entrepreneur and portfolio. I know that entrepreneurship is not that popular in pharmacy, but in this one, I think what this can do for you and what I hope your main takeaway is to look out in this world and see what problems exist and how your unique skill set can help solve problems for other people, which leads to, yeah, maybe a business, but it can also lead to job opportunities for you, options, and just getting curious about what else is out there in this world and what you could be doing. Because I can't think of any pharmacists that I know who also are running a pharmacy, but also are involved in a crypto startup and a restaurant business and starting up a med spa and a bar and lounge. It's crazy what she has done with his career, and so I think you're going to really enjoy and get inspired and learn from this interview. So with that, let's jump into it. What's up, Chi?
Not much. How are you? It's been a while.
Living the dream. Yeah, recovered from influenza. Now I'm talking with you. Life is good.
We're past Christmas now, and I was just talking to someone, and we're still saying Happy New Year's, and it's almost February now. So time flies.
So one of the reasons why I wanted you on the podcast is because you're kind of like me. You're eclectic. You have a very interesting career path that you've been on, and the more I talked with you before the podcast, I was like, oh wow, um, entrepreneurship really seems to be like the driving thing for you. And it's very uncommon in pharmacy now. Like it's
Right.
not necessarily, it is taught, right, in
Yeah.
school, but it's not necessarily like a focus. When I graduated pharmacy school, I literally thought owning my own pharmacy is the last thing that I would want to do,
Right.
based on everything that I've learned from. When you went into pharmacy school, do you think you had that bug like of entrepreneurship or business creation, or like did it kind of just happen upon you?
Yeah. I think everyone's story and journey is a little bit different. I remember being in high school and thinking I have no idea what I want to do, and thinking it was panicking, like I got to decide soon. And I take students on right now, and some of them, whether they're in pharmacy school or pre-med or whatever, trying to figure that out. For me, I was pre-med, and I decided at that point I didn't want to go into medicine, and I liked pharmacy, and so I went the pharmacy route. I don't think I ever decided, hey, I want to own a pharmacy, because that was way too much responsibility for someone who's just in school partying and doesn't want to have all that responsibility, right?
Yeah.
It's something that kind of comes with time, and I think as you grow and you see changes that you want to be made, and whether they're changes that can happen where you're currently located or where you currently work. But yeah, it just kind of comes with experience and time.
So how did you fall into the opportunity? Like
Yeah.
it sounds to me like you had an inclination even through school, like you enjoyed solving problems. At the time, your problem was I want to have fun, so that's partying, right?
Right.
You
Right.
became a professional, but how did you go from working as a pharmacist to owning your own business?
Yeah. Once I graduated from pharmacy school and went, I moved somewhere. I moved from Michigan. I was originally from Toronto, Canada. I moved to Michigan for school. Then I moved all the way to Texas, where I knew nobody. And for me, it was a big step. For me, it was at that point, what do I want to do with my future? Yeah, it's great to be out here meeting new people, which was the mission for this. And I worked for Walgreens, and I really did enjoy it, to be honest with you. A lot of people don't like working for the chains, but with what I was doing, having the choice of, my budgeting hours and working where I wanted, when I wanted, because it was kind of different back then, I would say, I I found that the things I really found close to my heart and my values were being able to help people and solve problems, like you said. And I wasn't able to do that at this company. No matter how much I was put in a position where I had power, I still could not make certain changes to really see real change in the community. And so for me, at that point, I figured, well, this is something I think I could probably do myself. And I was lucky enough to meet my current business partner when I moved over here to Charlotte, um, through just some mutual friends. And he had, already opened his first pharmacy, and he had just in the infancy of it. And it was like a perfect step to meet him at that time where, two heads are better than one. And it would allow us to basically do what we wanted and compete with the bigger chains at the same time, and kind of share that mission together. So we both had that inkling to help people in a different way, together. And I was very fortunate to meet him. So that's kind of where it started.
I like to believe that luck is just preparation meeting opportunity.
I agree.
If you weren't like networking or going out there into the community, because you were involved, I don't know if you've ever would have stumbled upon this person.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like, when did you start the business? Like what year?
The business started in about 2010. I have to look back the exact number. We're
Sure.
right around the 15-year mark now.
Wow.
2008, 2000. I graduated in 2009. The business started 2010, and I believe I started sometime in the late 2010, 2011 year with him.
So it's 2010.
Mhm.
Arguably, I would think that the tone of the industry and the market is, don't get into independence, right? They're fighting tooth and nail with DIR fees. They're fighting PBMs, like it's profits are down.
Right.
Um, what motivated you to be like, okay, yeah, that's what everyone believes,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go start my own pharmacy.
Yeah. I think it's just, we talk about, I don't know how many people who work at a Walgreens or CVS or a Walmart, and they dread going into work. I didn't want to be that person my whole life. You do it at the beginning to pay your bills, to make some money. You have student bills and all that stuff, student debt coming out of school. But I didn't like who I was becoming in that sense. And I didn't like to go to work. And I always said, if that happens, I'm going to find something else to do. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people to kind of step away from. You're getting paid very well to go to these places, but you're not very happy. And at what point do you kind of figure out, yeah, I need to give this up to figure out something else? So for me, that's what it was. I was not happy going to work. I was not seeing changes happening in our community where I want to help people. And this was allowed me an opportunity to do that. I didn't look at all the negatives to it, as I've always believed in myself to be able to do it. And if this didn't work out, I would find something else. It's just how I'm built, I guess, to put it that way.
Mm.
But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I don't think back when we started, it wasn't as bad as it is now. There was DIR fees. I just didn't know about it. It was a little bit better at that point. I would say we weren't inundated with audits and all that sort of stuff. They slowly started to come. We saw how the challenges are. But I would say for the first 3-4 years, it was kind of smooth sailing in the sense of reimbursement was okay. It was just a matter of, we're small, we're a new business, we have no patients in here. How do we get these people in here and start helping people?
I think that concept that you shared just very briefly, I wish more people could accept it. Like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I'll figure out something else.
Yeah.
Um,
I
did
think for me, one of the main things was, and we do these with the people we hire too. When I interview someone I'm looking to hire, I'm not looking for a great amount of experience or what they look like and all. I'm really looking to really gauge how are they in their life. Are they happy? Are they positive people? Because I can't teach you that. I can teach you the rest of the stuff. I can't teach you to be a happy person. In me, everything I look back on is, I always go back to, when I'm having a bad day, I'm really looking at, am I happy in my life? If so, then none of this other stuff matters. Work is work. I try to distinguish it from what I'm doing. And now it's very hard when you own a business and own multiple businesses, because it is your life. But back then it was really about taking a chance to do something. Because if you don't, you're just going to be where you're at right now. And wasn't acceptable to me.
hmm. I'm 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 reminded of I think a talk I saw a long time ago where someone said, like, what is the most richest piece of land that you could ever buy? with an insane amount of potential, but it's not being sought after. And no one, like, some people guessed some stuff, but the speaker ended up saying, like, it is. I forget what it is, but he said it's the largest cemetery in the world.
Mhm.
And when he said that, I was like, I didn't get it. And he pointed out that everyone there lives life with regrets. I should have done this. I wish I did this thing, or I wish I took a risk and did this job.
Right.
And most people, um, I think, live their lives wishing for the change. But very few people are willing to, like, put themselves out there, willing to fail. And I feel like pharmacy, our profession, trains us to, like, avoid it at all costs in terms of our careers,
Sure.
right? Because we don't want to be wrong with a patient.
Right.
We don't want to be wrong with a dose. So we certainly don't want to be wrong or proven wrong by taking a job that maybe we couldn't do.
Yeah.
Um, you took a risk,
Right.
um, and you, I mean, clearly through time and practice, you've been able to grow. You started off with one pharmacy, correct?
Correct. Correct. One pharmacy. Yeah.
And now it's 2024. How
Mhm.
many pharmacies have you grown to at this point?
We're at 6 pharmacies at the moment. And, with the current climate of stuff, we kind of stopped growing and adding more units to our collection. We probably will start again once these DIR fees hopefully go away in the next 60 days. Some good stuff happening in the legislation right now. But we kind of hunkered down because you had to do that at this point,
Yeah.
just to maintain, sustain, and be able to offer more services as opposed to having multiple units. Having too many units means a lot of staff. Staffing is always an issue, but you can
Mhm.
imagine that if you have more and more units. So that kind of separates things.
Actually, I think that's really interesting. I want to circle back to that.
Yeah.
So, we interview people as well, and we have a really innovative approach, I feel like, to getting candidates. And we get feedback from people saying, like, this is the most fun I've ever had with an application.
Hmm.
But you said you look for happy people.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly agree. If you're miserable now, the hiring manager, if they're any good, they're going to pick that up.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but they're going to note that you're unhappy with where you're at in life.
Yeah.
What questions or tactics do you do to, like, suss that out from people about, like, is is this someone we really want to invite into our culture? How do you do that?
We're very unique in that. I think we're always learning. We're still growing. We're by no means perfect at this, because we've realized we've hired people with no experience, no background in pharmacy, and they've been amazing. They're still with us. And we've hired people with, come from the most prestigious schools, have done residencies, and are coming into retail, and have not panned out at all. So a lot of it is personality driven, because in independence, and at least how we run our business, we need you to have a personality. We need you to build relationships with patients, to build relationships with doctors, to businesses around town. And we don't allow you to just stay and fill prescriptions. If that's what you want to do, you go work at a chain pharmacy or maybe another pharmacy. For us, it's different. So when we're looking to hire people, we're looking for people like ourselves who are, one, happy in life. We mentioned that. That's kind of a cliche, but at the same time, like, what are their 5 to 10 year goals? We ask questions like that.
Mm,
We ask, um, have you ever been in a position, awkward? I wouldn't say awkward, but like different questions that are outside of the box to ask them to see how they would react to those kinds of things. So
mm,
we do those. One of the biggest sources of hiring for us are students that I'm preceptor. So I'm a preceptor for 5 different schools here. And I think all six of my pharmacy managers are my previous students. And we've hired more because we have more. We have clinical work as well as our retail pharmacies. And when students come on board, it's the perfect way because they get to test run with us for 1 month or 2 months, and we get to see how they are in our environment. So one of the big things we do when we interview is like, well, hey, do you have some time to come see our store, to talk to our staff, to even work a day in our store? We'll pay you. It's fine. We want to see how you're going to react to different things, because I always tell interviewees it's as much of an interview me for you as it is for you to me, because this isn't for everybody. We ask a lot for people. We have a lot more fun than everyone else, so we're very demanding in what we're looking for. Put it that way. But I think the job fulfillment here is really, really good, compared to probably most other pharmacies out there, and so that's kind of what we strive for. There's a certain person we are looking for.
mm. I think that's a very generous thing for any manager to tell someone. Um, when we train people to when they're looking for another job, we have to spend some time establishing with them. You don't want to take any job.
Yeah.
Um, if you're just open to any situation, then who knows what you're going to get. Um, and you don't want to trick yourself into thinking the grass is greener somewhere else.
Sure.
Because the grass is the same everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people, sometimes it's an aha moment for them to really realize, oh, okay, there are there's more engaging work out there, but there's also more toxic work environments.
Oh, sure.
Um, you've had the ability now for 15 years to create your own kind of culture and grow that and facilitate it. Um, what's been perhaps like a guiding principle for you in terms of that culture? Because I feel like what is one of the core problems with a lot of pharmacy right now, hospital, community, you name it,
Mhm.
is that the work environment, isn't supportive,
Right.
and it's overly demanding for people, and they're wanting to leave in mass from
Yeah.
clinical and patient care practices.
Right.
So I'm curious about like how you think about culture in
Sure.
in your organization.
Sure. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because we use that word all the time, culture. And we actually just had a meeting on Monday with our corporate people, and basically figured out um, what is it that we expect of our staff. We always meet at the beginning in January and kind of update everything that we have for our goals, mission, all that sort of stuff. Culture is huge for us because we have 6 stores between 2 states,
Mm,
and every store is different for us. So 3 of our stores are in one town and is a little bit more country than our other stores, which are in Charlotte. And so the vibe there, the culture, everything is different, from even your patient base to the doctors to the type of problems patients come in for. So when we're looking to hire people and put them in a particular store, we have to better understand the person as a whole. So we really try to understand the patient, our employee, or whoever we're looking to hire first. Find their, what are their passions? That's really important for us. What is their history? What are they interested in? Because I am not interested in putting someone in a role that they have no interest in. I've learned from a long time, myself included, I'm not very clinical, so I don't put myself in the clinical roles. I put myself more in the marketing and the problem solving, the partnerships, the community stuff roles, because I enjoy that. If someone does not enjoy something or does not have an interest in learning about it, it's very difficult to change their opinion on that. So we
mm,
really try. That's a big part of our culture, is that we have a team and we don't have 5 people who are the exact same in the store. We make sure that one's weaknesses are the other person's strengths, and one strengths are the other person's weakness. Sometimes there's no strengths. I mean, sometimes there's no weaknesses. Sorry, there's no strengths. There's a problem there, right?
mm,
But that's kind of how we do our culture, and it's not static at all. It changes with time. It changes with what's happening in our industry. It changes with what we're doing. It changes with the store, with all that sort of stuff. So I don't think there's a real set, easy question way to answer that question. But hopefully, I did a little bit of that. Just in terms of our culture is always evolving.
One of the things in my business that I like to repeatedly tell people is, not every idea is a good one, but we need the dumb ideas to get to a great idea.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded of a pharmacist that I was working with last night. Works in a independent chain, one of the more well known ones,
Mhm.
and she told me in the call that um, she can't rely on her manager. She's learned to not ask him for help. Um, and as we dug into it, it was like, well, when I have a question, I've texted, I've emailed, and I don't hear back for days. Um, and when I hear stuff like that, I hear a situation where leadership has created this culture of like, we're doing our thing, and you on the front lines better figure it out.
Right.
Um, and I always enjoy hearing people in your seat kind of, what I'm curious about is how how do you stay in touch with the front lines on people who are in the pharmacy staying involved? Because as you said, you're not clinical, you're not out there doing services, but based on what you told me off air, like you're very involved in the
Sure,
business.
sure.
Um, so how do you stay in touch with people who are front facing, customer facing, and taking that to the leadership team?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the main way is this, where you see right now, I'm working out of my office. Me and my partner, we both, as we own the company, we both have an office, but we're not always here. I'm here and I'm in my stores. Yesterday, I went to all 6 stores in one day. Today, I've already gone to one this morning, and I'm going to go to 2 more in the afternoon. We are always in our stores. We work, even though when I say I'm not clinical, because we have that clinical side, it's not my passion. I like to help people, but it's not my passion on that side. But I work in our stores. We still work in our stores at least once a week, we don't stay in the same store, and we try not to put some of our staff in the same stores. They move around because they want to see what's happening in the other stores. So that is the main way. If you're not in your stores, you're not seeing what's happening. It's very hard to really understand what people on the front lines are experiencing, and what the
Mm,
challenges they're going through, and what it's also hard to recognize them too, right? Just by going in the stores, I make store notes every time I work a shift, and it's usually good stuff because you always got to give the good with the bad. We understand that.
mm.
That's just how we are as a human race. We want to hear good things too. But we do that. We go into our stores and we do that, and when we look at leadership qualities, and we do meet about leadership stuff, we take all that into consideration. We look at those notes. We talk to people on the, as you want to call it, the ground, to get their feedback. So, I think we have a great connect with them on that level, and they know that the door is always open, so their ideas are welcome, and that's what helps us thrive. Whereas I know with a lot of other businesses, there's that disconnect where the people at the top are making the decisions, and we see that in healthcare. I mean, that's all the
Yeah.
decisions are being made by a suit, as we call them, not someone who has any experience being in a doctor's office or pharmacy. That's the problem.
Mm. Yeah, that disconnect is hard. Um, I think that problem's almost universal for any big healthcare organization,
Right.
right? I'm reminded of a study that I often reference this study in presentations or when people ask these kind of Q&As about, workplace development, that um, they were looking at burnout rates, and they were looking at stress in this study, and they just asked people, staff, pharmacists, doctors, nurses, admin, the simple question: what are we doing that's just plain stupid? They use the word, like, what are
Yeah.
we doing that's stupid? And the things that they identified, I don't remember the percentage, but like it was like 70-80% of the things were not legal mandates, were not federally qualified things that they were meant to do. It was policies set by the organization with good intentions, but were stupid. They were time wasters. They were things that were causing more stress. They didn't have to do them. There was no legal obligation to do them, or even patient safety related reasons. Um, So hearing the fact that, like, not only are you practicing, like you're going in and doing the work at times, you said workday, you subtly threw that in there.
Sure.
Um, I think that it's a great lesson. Um, that frankly, there was a time in my business when I wasn't coaching people. I was depressed. I had family stuff going on, losing someone we loved, and I stopped getting so involved, and that led to some major consequences. It led to lower quality of our services, and getting more back involved in coaching has really upped our game, made us
Yeah.
way more involved. So kudos to you for, like, just, I mean, you, you visited all 6 stores in one day.
Yeah. It's a
They
lot of
must be all
driving,
close
but
together.
no, they're not. I mean, there's 3 together. One's like 30 minutes, the other is 30 minutes. So it takes the whole day. We spend some time there at each location, but you can make it happen. For us, there's no 9 to 5. We start our day early, 5:30 for me,
Mm,
and we're often going to one store to another. Some stores you spend more time than others, but We try to separate it a little bit, but yeah, it's really important. And we, to get into the store, see what's happening, make yourself known, make your staff, realize they're important, that, changes will happen if they have a voice, if they see something happening. And as a whole, your army, as you call it, your team becomes stronger, because now, you're collectively more together, as opposed to being one person on the front saying, hey, I saw this, but I know it's never going to get up to the people who make decisions. So what's the point of me making a change? Huge difference in that. And we're not by any means perfect, like I said, because there's been times where I went like more than 2 months without working a shift. And we've realized now you got to get back in the stores to do these. And, all the other programs are working in. So it works out perfectly, because I have my other staff on their normal days, to work. They'll go do something else out in the community or something in the store, and we will fill in for them, So it's a nice way to kind of get back in there.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have something, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But do you have like some sort of process in place to catch those inefficiencies with your team, besides like you actually going in and doing the work? Do you have like a team meeting,
We
or
do. We do.
yeah,
So
what do you do?
it's still a challenge, because I'm one of those type A personalities. If you shoot me a text or an email, I'm replying within 30 seconds probably. And then you have other people who don't check, and they're in positions of power, who don't check their email maybe once a week, which can become the problem for communication. So we're always constantly trying to improve training and constant and communication. And so we use, we have chat groups for daily stuff. We use weekly Zoom calls. We go into the stores. The staff know when to reach out to us if certain things happen, and how to report to us. They have certain KPIs they're looking at, and they're reporting back to our, director of operations. So there's a lot of communication going between store level employees and the few of us. There's not many of us who are outside of the stores, but we're all working in the stores too. So we see these problems at the store level and the inefficiencies, as you said, and we try to get to them. Being small business, of course, we can't get to them as quickly as we'd like to, or just snap our fingers and fix the problem. So we really try to figure out what the root of the problem is first when we come across them. And we know if it's a problem at one store, it's going to be a problem at the other store. So we try to really figure out the best solution for it by looking at maybe what's happening at other stores compared to this store. But it's a process, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. From one owner to another, I can appreciate the good intentions and the processes in place, while still acknowledging like, hey, we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
The thing I'm also trying to personally figure out for myself is something that I really respect about you and on your journey, is how eclectic your businesses are.
Right.
I have side projects. I'm an advisor in a business. I've got another business that is definitely in the startup phase.
Right.
I've got some other things that I have going on, and you have a lot of other things going on too. If I recall correctly, you own a few restaurants,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You're involved in like a cryptocurrency based startup.
Correct.
Um, y- and you can feel free to like correct me, or like talk about
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the
I can
things of
talk.
what they are. Are the is Just for information purposes, are there other businesses that you're involved with right now besides the pharmacy, the restaurant, the cryptocurrency startup? Is there something else that you're doing too? I'm
Yeah,
guessing
there's
there
other
is.
stuff, and I think for the most part, it's just going back to my upbringing. Being Indian in background, our families generally just own a business, whatever it is, whether it's a motel, hotel, convenience store, dry cleaners, medical practice. We're used to having that, so I was ingrained in that growing up, having
Mm,
multiple streams of income in case one doesn't work. I think what's pushed this, two things have kind of pushed me towards doing other things outside of pharmacy. One is that the pharmacy business has not been very fruitful over the past, I don't know, 7 to 10 years, just because of everything that's happening with PBMs, DIR fees, and stuff like that. So
sure.
you can't depend on that on its own. The second thing is I'm really immersed in this community. I love the city I live in, Charlotte. It's growing very quickly. It's a very small town. I call it a town still, coming from Toronto, but it's becoming a city now. And so to have your blueprint and your footprint in the city is is amazing, and to be able to make some of those changes. So that's kind of where things have come from in
Mm.
terms of investing in different businesses. The restaurants, we have 3 sandwich shops around town. The other business that we talked about, the crypto thing, it has a crypto name. It's more of a, it's called Health Coin Exchange. You'll probably hear a lot more of it in the coming months. That's a whole nother podcast altogether, because I'm involved with a team of doctors, lawyers, a bunch of people around town to kind of change the way healthcare is being done in our country. This is not something local. This is national, to really change the way we look at medicine, healthcare, and everything, bringing transparency to light. I own, I have some real estate that I do as well. We own, what else? There's a whole bunch of other things that we have. We have opened a med spa recently, a telehealth practice. My sister moved down from Canada. She's a physician with 15 years worth of women's health background. So we're helping her do the med spa thing, involve it into almost a one health system that we're creating for our patients and our business. When you think of pharmacy, you just think of generally just a pharmacy. Go in and get your prescriptions. You might get vaccines, you might get some testing done, and we draw the line in the sand there. We've never looked at it that way. And that's one of my things for any, independent pharmacy owner out there. And I think we're seeing more and more of it, where they're branching out and doing different things, whether it's a Medicare agency. Hey, we can do Medicare agency stuff. We can enroll our patients in stuff. Why do we work with an outside company to do that when we can do it ourselves? We can help doctors' practices by putting pharmacists in their practice and doing clinical work for them. That really allows our pharmacists to work at the top of their license. So we do that. I have a bar, a lounge opening pretty soon with some of the guys locally. And so who doesn't love to drink and get involved with that? So these are different things we're doing that kind of come out there. But make no mistake, our pharmacy is my day job, my night job as well. Everything else is just something that our passion projects, I feel like, unless it involves healthcare and we're trying to bring it all together. And I don't think we'll ever stop doing that. I think that's the joy of being in my position, of what I enjoy. If I just had to sit here and just concentrate on pharmacy, I think I'd get bored, personally speaking. So for us, I look at the individual and our patient as a whole. That person has to go somewhere to drink. That person has to go somewhere to get a massage. That person goes somewhere to get laser hair treatment. They go somewhere to get all these things. Why can't we be some of those answers for them? And I don't think us as pharmacists need to kind of, stick to doing one thing, because that's what they've always wanted us to do.
Right.
And we have the opportunity, we have the mindset, we have the skill to do it. If you put your mind to it, there's something, I think we can do it. So that's where we're at.
So I hope you don't mind if I get personal.
No, anytime. Yeah, go ahead.
How in the world do you manage all of these things?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to guess. Do you mind if I
Oh, go
guess?
for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I'm guessing you only try to do the work that you make the most impact on. And I'm curious about what exactly that is.
Right.
I'm guessing you have lots of partners, and you have to be talented in your ability to not only build relationships, but also quickly discern whether someone is worth their salt or not.
Sure.
And you have to be a delegating machine, because I know that you also have a family as
Yes.
well, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I know that it's clear that you're driven. It's clear that you're working quite a bit,
Yeah.
but maybe you're one of. I'm guessing there has to be some sort of health component to this, where maybe you only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night,
You nailed
or
it.
you have some robust vacation a plan that allows you to recuperate during a time.
Yeah.
Those are some of my guesses, but uh, it the way you're talking is not that you're one of those hustle guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not getting that energy or vibe from you, but it's more you have somehow found what has made you insanely efficient at the few things that you do very well, and that has led from opportunity to opportunity to owning a restaurant, to getting into this crypto thing, to getting into now owning a bar and a med spa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious about what's that thing? How do you manage your time? How do you find great people? um And am I wrong? And what else is your secret?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things there to kind of answer and stuff, but I think the main core to all that is two things. I have a team, like you said. I can't do this alone. We delegate a lot. I take on a lot. My family and my wife are amazing in the sense that they understand he's always working, he's providing. Let him do
Mm,
his thing, and they'll take care of their part. Everyone on our team kind of plays their own role. We have trust. We know what everyone's doing, and we trust everyone's doing what they're set to do, what their responsibilities are. We communicate very well, and that's a big part of it. But for the majority of it, it's like I really let my body and my mind tell me how much is too much, when I need a break, when I need to go to the spa myself to relax, when I need a vacation. I'd like to be on a vacation 24/7 if I could. I'm sure you would say the same thing, but that's not realistic. We have to come back to our real life, reality at some point. But I don't live for next week, a month from now, a year from now. Although I do plan and make goals. I did share with you my son was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 3. He's 7 now. This is 2020, right when COVID was hit, and we were doing crazy amounts of COVID testing. And literally, I'm sitting on my bed just going like this all day, answering people on their emails. I had 500 emails a day for COVID tests, and we were like just doing nonstop, writing a line. At that point, and I'm also going through what I'm going through with my family, and I'm owning these other businesses. That was the
mm,
mental breaking point for me, essentially, and I had to figure out what's important. So in my head, I always let my body kind of tell me how much I take on. They always say those. That's one of the other cliches. Let your body tell you if it's right or wrong or whatnot. And I do that. I know when I'm tired and I need to sleep more. I know when I'm okay. For the most part, I go to sleep early. I wake up super early. I wouldn't say I get 4 to 5 hours. I probably get like 6, 7 hours on average. I could
okay.
function probably on 3 to 4 every day. I don't think that's healthy, but I can probably more than anyone else. I don't drink coffee or tea. I don't need it. I'm naturally energetic in that sense that I wake up and I have energy to go and stuff like that.
Mm,
My mind is just always going. I don't know how to kind of put that into perspective because I'm sure a lot of people are like that. A lot of it comes with age. A lot of it comes with experience. I wasn't like this when I was younger to many aspects. But I really have a great team. I know what I'm looking to do, and I don't let problems bog me down and mentally get me down. I'm very, very strong. I think that is my advantage over a lot of people that I work with, that I don't let small things stress me out. If I get to that level of stress, something goes off in my head and says, hey, Chi, you need to slow down, back up, and don't react to this at this point and go. So it's hard to explain it, I think. We're still, like I said, improving our efficiencies, improving communication, improving training, trying to get better. I always say if there was 3 of me, it'd be a lot easier because of all the things I'm doing. But the reality is there isn't, and I got to make do with me. But I also have a family to take care of. We
mm.
have a charity that we've set up because of my son's leukemia that he's doing well. I spend at least, my goal this year was to spend 25% of my time on the charity stuff. I'm on the board of the local children's hospital now as well.
Of course you are.
So yeah, we're doing a lot more things. But for me,
Mm,
my mission in all this is to grow my business, make sure my family is taken care of, make sure my staff is taken care of, and everything else will come in time, I feel. And so I think
mm.
we've kind of got a good gauge on that, and we're learning every day. I really tell you that. When I meet people like you or whoever I'm having my meeting with after, I learn something from every single meeting, and that's why I do what I'm doing, and I'm not in the stores because I enjoy going out there and meeting people. I like to talk. I like to learn about different things. I like to read and figure out how we can improve both as people, but in our business as well.
It's a wonderful mindset to adapt. You
Yeah.
can learn something from everyone if you really believe it.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'm coming away from this feeling inspired. I think my final question for you is one that I honestly enjoy hearing from people of all walks of life,
Mhm.
and I'm curious about what you would think about it. Um, what do you think the you of 10 years from now wishes they could tell you in this moment for where you're at in life?
Yeah, I think that's a super easy one because I think about it all the time. It's slow down. Uh, Really slow down, and just take everything in because I look at my kids being 5 and 7 now, and I look at pictures when they were younger. I don't
Mm.
remember all that. I have pictures and videos for stuff, and I just wonder how quickly this has gone about. I see
Mm.
my hair thinning. I see my hair and my beard turning gray. You can't see it right now, but there is grays in there. Um, but all these kinds of things, I'm like, time flies. That's my biggest thing. The number one
Mm.
asset when I have my students, I tell them, what is the most important asset that you have that you cannot get back? It's time. And we can't go back in 10 years and say, I wish I could have done this. So with that in mind, I do everything I can right now. If I want to go do skydiving, I'm going to go skydive. If I want to, which I've already done, by the way, but if there's other things that we want to get done, you want to go travel, go do it now. Because again, what we went through in our life was a life changing. Hopefully other people don't have to go through such a significant thing where your child is diagnosed with cancer. Your
Mm.
life, that's my point right there, where it really changed the way I look at life. So for me, even 10 years is really way too far. I can kind of see where I want to be then. But for me, it's really just slowing down, enjoying my family, because there's a time right now my kids want to play with me every day right now. They're not going to want to talk to me. As if you have any teenage kids or older kids, they're not going to want to. And I don't look forward to those days, but there's probably something at that point that's going to be more fun, where I can, take them to the bar, or I can, different things. You can enjoy a sports match differently because they understand what's happening. You can go to whatever, and travel a little bit better and eat different foods. So there's always positives to every aspect of everyone's life, and there's always negatives to their in their present day. It's what you choose to look at. That's what the way I view it. I used to look at it the other way, and now I look at it towards the positive, because that's what my mindset has gone towards. So
Mm.
kind of what I would say.
I think that's very insightful. I, whenever I'm stressed out or I think about how tired I am, um, a credo that pops into my head when know I need to be with my two daughters is, you only have about 6 more summers left with them,
Yeah,
and 6 is not a lot.
it's not.
Um, and to take that time to slow down, to be with them, to talk with them at night after a long day of work like I did yesterday, 10 hours,
Mhm.
was a long shift for me of back to back to back meetings and big decisions. But to be with them and talk with them about their day and what they're interested in, nothing more fulfilling than that.
No, and you said the right thing there when you said, where are you going to look back, in 10 years, and what are your thinking? You said earlier about regret. I look at that all the time. I never regret anything I do, just because I knew in that moment it felt like it was the right thing to do.
Mm.
And then I can't. I would rather regret something I didn't do because out of fear, or what's going to happen. I don't look at it that way. And that's why I take on so many new things, because I feel like, hey, I'm going to regret it if I don't.
Mm.
But yeah, like what you just said, you have 6 summers left with your daughters. That's going to fly by. And at the end of the day, they're not going to remember the presents you gave them. They're going to remember your presence, and like whether you took when you went on a vacation, you went on whatnot. That's what you're going to, in 10 years, you're going to look back and remember those moments, not remembering all this other stuff, which we'll forget about. So I think
Mm.
that's important.
Gee, this was an awesome interview. Thank you so much for being with us.
I really appreciate being on it. My first podcast, so hopefully it was all right. And I enjoyed talking to you. And hopefully, we talk a little bit more in the future.
You did great. No regrets. I think that's what I walked away from this feeling like there are definitely decisions I've made in the past that I think I look poorly upon. And I think I put negative connotations on it. But in the moment when I made those decisions, whether they were business partnerships, actually they're all business partnerships that I think about that I in the past have regretted, but when I really dive into it, in the moment, they all felt like great decisions, new opportunities, new options, new potentials. But not everything works out. Not everything that you hope that you try will pan out. And my hope is that for you moving forward in your career, that you can take every moment and really live it out. That you try, that you're willing to fail, and that if it does fail, so be it. At least you gave it everything that you had. What a way to live life. And I don't think anyone at the end of their lives is really remorseful about the things they tried that didn't necessarily work out, but rather that they feel regrets around the things that they wish they did. I wish I lived my life out into the fullest. I wish I tried at least to get out of this position. I wish I tried and started that business with my friend. I don't know. My hope is that you start today, not tomorrow, not in a year, just today, because there's never a right time. There's never a perfect moment. It's just taking that first step, that leap. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you and your time, because it's the one resource that you have that isn't renewable. It's the one thing that you have that we are all limited by. So use today to the best of your ability, live it out, and give it everything that you got. And until we see you in the next episode, take care.